What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Monday Night Live. And today we have a big show. It is AEW week because we know Revolution is around the corner. It is at the weekend and it is one of their biggest shows. Definitely their first biggest show of the year. So we're going to get into everything AEW and everything around Revolution. And as you can see, we have a esteemed panel today. I am joined by the president, Mr. Del Tevic. Nice to have you
How's
back,
it going,
bro.
man? Good to be back. Good to be back, man. The president's back. Let's talk some wrestling, man.
Of course. And I am joined by probably the best tag team in wrestling media space. We have Sat Iniangi making his comeback to WRESTHINGS. Nice to have you, Sat.
Oh, it's good to be back, brother. Excited.
No.
Excited. Yeah. 2026, yeah?
Yeah, let's do it, bro. Let's do it. And we have a debutant on the channel, I believe. Tempest has joined. And like I said,
sir.
You two are the guys when it comes to this space, when it comes to tag team, good chemistry, good shows. Obviously, you can find them right now doing their stuff on the Wrestle Purist channel. But Tempest, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing real good, mate. I mean, I've come off of just seeing a banging Eve show last night with my lovely, wonderful tag team partner right here. We're a package deal where one goes, the other follows. Doesn't matter if it's a platform, if it's a show, where you find one, you will find the other. And I'm very happy to be making my debut here. This is a long time coming. I've been hearing good things. I've been seeing good things. Been a fan of the channel for a very long time. And obviously, I've always had Sat bringing the compliments of WRESTHINGS every time that we mention it, every time we talk about it. So to not only be here for the first time, but to do it alongside my boy, I couldn't be happier.
We appreciate you, and thank you guys all for joining. Let's get into it. You know, you guys know what to do. Hit the like button, comment, subscribe, hype if you're watching on your mobile. Everyone's individual platforms, channels, Instagrams, they're in the description. So please do follow along for all the good work that everyone is doing and keeping up with them. And yeah, man, let's talk some AEW. I think the first place I wanted to start from, I feel like creatively we're in a very good place with AEW. Could things always be better? Things could always be better. But you know, I'll come to you first, Sat. When it comes to AEW, from where we have been, I would say maybe the lows of 2024 to where we are going into, like I say, the first pay-per-view of 2026. How would you say AEW have done, especially the beginning of this year, how they started off this year, but from where we were in 2024?
I want to say they're almost firing on all cylinders, because one of the issues that me and Tempest had when we did the show and we were talking was the word, the future, the F word, the dreaded F word. It seemed like it was a Ponzi scheme that if you get labeled the future, is going to lead to somewhere. And look at guys like Sammy Guevara. You're the future, yeah? You're a pillar, yeah? What are you doing? RAH? All right, son. See you later. And you see someone like Kevin Knight come in and you get worried because he's getting labeled, you know, the future. Watch out for this kid. But they're actively showing us, putting him in situations where they are showing we're invested in him. Because the last time we saw something like that was initially it was MJF, and then it became, you know, Kyle Fletcher. But now you can add Kevin Knight to the list of like young guys that you can see they're actively pursuing to make them the future. So that makes you excited about the future of AEW. It's not just stale same guys in the main event, because that's been the issue with the other company, just the stale same faces being in the main event. All these young guys log jam in the same spot and they're not moving up, so doing good in that position. Then there's the tag division. You know, they brought the back Private Party. You had Jurassic Express that was around for a little bit. They're doing their bit to rejuvenate the tag division, which has been exciting because that's what you need. That was like the bread and butter when they started off, which was tag team wrestling gets respect. And they've signed all these nice young guys that's come in. So that's been exciting on that front. Trios title, let's not talk about it. The women's division, if it was a few weeks ago, you asked us to come on, then we'll be like brutally cutting them down because they can do better. But them having Tekla as their top champion has done. Like, you talk about social media, you know, no offense to Stat, like we were rooting for Stat, but no one was posting social media of Stat promos or social medias of her doing anything as champion. All it was like what Stat doing in the backstage promos and with the Babes of Wrath, whoever it is. So they're not firing on that side. They can do better. They get B- for effort, but everything else, I'm excited, man. So excited about the future of AEW and also where these guys are going to be in a few months' time. I feel like where Kevin Knight is right now, come August, will be something completely different. So that's what I'm excited about, knowing that we're going along for the ride. It's the evolution of wrestlers and characters. Brody King, shout out to him as well, having a breakout year. It's been good all around.
Definitely hear that. Productions by Charlie says there in the chat, Stat needs to get in the bin. I think that's harsh, but I think we've definitely.
No, it's harsh. It's harsh. Man, I wouldn't listen. It wasn't her fault that they gave her trash theme song. You know what I'm saying? That intro, you know what it is? It's the intro that sucks. The rest of it sounds like her old theme song, but it's just like doon 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 doon. Come bet.com, you know, get your money in right now. Nice. Here is it now. It doesn't scream like a champion. Compare people talk about aura farming. You can't aura farm with that chicken shit of a song. What the heck are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, Stat never had the best. Well, I guess it wasn't really given the best, but Tekla has taken the ball and absolutely ran with it. I loved your point with the future stuff, because even last week when we had MJF and Kevin Knight, you know, for the world title, which is kind of play by numbers. We know MJF is going to retain, but it's just the opportunity is there, that the faith is being shown. And I guess in some degree, you know, Kevin Knight signed a new contract this week. So, you know, they feel like they have the faith behind them as well. Tempest, how do you feel about AEW in 2026?
Very positively at the moment. NFL season's over. And that means that we're all in the clear. When you talk about like where it's been since, you know, 2024, I think generally the word that I would use to describe AEW has kind of been inconsistent, you know, because you look at like the down period of the fall of 2024, start of the Death Riders and all that, not a very good time. You really look at like from the Wembley Stadium show where Danielson wins the title through to about where he loses the title, and the creative of that is so disjointed. There's like 4 people that are number 1 contenders for the world title at any given moment, and moving through Grand Slam and everything, it just wasn't their sharpest time. And to go from that into what I thought was a very good period of time through the first half of 2025 or so, like basically up to All In Texas, I really didn't have very many notes. You know, once Tony kind of took the reins back a little bit, NFL season ended, we got Jeff Jarrett out of the main event scene, and we just kind of got back to business, and then kind of fell into a little bit, not necessarily as creatively like just all over the place like it was in 2024 in the back half of last year, but it felt a little uninspired at times. I think Chris Statlander's title reign really suffered as a result of that. Like the stories weren't really there to kind of go along with her finally reaching the mountaintop, her beating Tony Storm, her beating Mercedes Moné. All of these things, like they look a lot better on paper than they actually felt in execution. And Hangman's title reign kind of suffered as a result of that as well. You got into just kind of like a fine, but ultimately a bit middling rivalry with Samoa Joe. And I got no problem with Joe, AEW champion, again on paper, but how they got there just wasn't as inspiring as it had been with Hangman on the Chase. You come into 2026, MJF's the champion. He's got renewed vigor, some new motivation, and he's having himself a hell of a reign. This is the most stacked the main event scene in AEW has ever been. Like before, you would say that, you know, their roster has been very good for a very long time, and you'd have a lot of people that could factor into main event matches, but it never felt like you just had 10 guys who are all incredible vying for the top championship at the same time. Now we've got Revolution on Sunday. You've got like 3-4 matches on that show that all feel like they have really heavyweight title implications. And I can't remember ever seeing a time like that in AEW. So it's just meant that when you have so many more characters that you're interested in, that have realistic motivations, that like you can understand, want the top prize, it makes all the matches on TV mean that much more, makes the wins and losses mean that much more, and it means that you can do a lot more in terms of the storytelling and booking with a guy like a Kevin Knight, who you might look at as the future, but him playing the role of a guy who's the young guy knocking on the door of this incredible main event scene and hanging with them, as we've seen multiple times over. Like match he had with MJF just last week, I thought was fantastic, and getting a visual pinfall over him. I don't mind so much that he loses because, like you say, it's probably a foregone conclusion. He's not winning the title on Dynamite, a week and a half before the pay-per-view. But you can tell me the story of his ascent. And I said when he wrestled Swerve earlier in the year that I don't expect him to win that match, but I just want what happens in the match to matter in the grand scheme of Kevin Knight's story. And I have felt more and more over the last few weeks and months that the matches involving guys that you can tell they see something in really do matter. It's not just, oh, well, he's going to be something, so let's keep him in the mix. We'll keep him on TV. His matches with Swerve and with MJF, they mean something. He's got a story. It's all building to things. And thankfully, when it comes into a period of time like we are in right now with AEW, they do have the benefit of the doubt that I'm willing to just sit back and watch Kevin Knight take a few more losses because I do trust he's going to get there. And that's kind of how I feel about AEW in general right now. Like when they're hot, they do earn a bit more of that benefit of the doubt that I'm willing to see where they're going with things.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like me and Dell talk quite frequently, and the question we're always asking it, whether it's WWE or AEW, is why does this matter? What's next? What's the follow-up?
What now? What now, isn't it?
Exactly. And it's very much now that I feel like every time AEW are giving us a match, they're giving us a situation, they're giving us a segment, that question is being answered. Everything means something for the next thing, sort of thing. We don't have to kind of abort any missions. And to your point of the world title scene is on flames right now. I think we all probably assume that maybe will be a focus, a centerpiece when we get to All In London around that world title. But I think we could easily have maybe 1 to 2 more title changes before we even get to August, just because it's so open and the field is so good. We believe it. Del, I know me and you have been up and down in the past about AEW, about them picking things and why does it matter, like we said. How are you feeling right now, bro?
I know Productions by Charlie's sat watching this, and this is going to come as a shock to most people. 2 years ago, if you asked me if I was an AEW fan, I would have sat here and said no. The reason that from the turn of 2026, I can proudly say I'm an AEW fan now. And the reason for that is from the turn of the year, they've learning from their past mistakes. With the storytelling, like Tempest has said, is they've seen how this rush storytelling and this to use the word discombobulated was pretty much how their booking was at some point. But now it seems like you said, Mekz, like you said, Tempest, we're now looking at a situation where when they're putting these matches on, there's implications, there's things for it, and it's about delivery. And I think that is how regardless, you can put 2 amazing people in the ring, but if you don't deliver to the top level, whatever happens in between those 4 ropes does not matter. And AEW have learned that is you've seen some big matches go under the radar. Like Tempest has said, with Stats title reign, like I was predicting her to lose her title weeks prior than she even lost it on Dynamite. I thought she would have lost it ages ago. And that was nothing against her, because it was like we come into a situation where, for me, AEW, they didn't really know where they were going with it. And you could almost see, like, Tekla was almost like the person that it was all driving towards. But now, from the turn of the year, the main event scene, oh my God, I'm looking at, let's call them the other company, and how everything in their world title scene seems so strange and unplanned, and just no one really knows what's going on from one week to the next. Whereas that's hard to support. That's hard to get behind. That's why people like the Cody Rhodeses of the world are getting so much hate online, because fans want to invest in a story. If you don't deliver us a story, how can we invest in it? There's no beginning, middle, and end to sort of feel that emotion with, like, something in which we've spoken about time and time again. Like, I speak so highly of Swerve Strickland from where he was in NXT to where he was in AEW. That is a journey, and they told us a story with Swerve. The stuff he did with Hangman, that is how you tell a story with someone. They don't need to win every single match and every single title on that journey, but it's like Tempest said earlier, it's make it mean something in the ring. When they're having those moments, they don't need to win to get the W, but when they are in that ring, whether it's one moment that they have, like their social media blows up about Kevin Knight within seconds of him entering the ring. And I think that they understand that now. It's like, it's not about these ex-WWE guys that you want to push to the moon. It's what does the future hold? Because now when I look at their future and I'm looking at Kyle, I'm looking at the future right there, man, because if you were to say to me, like I'm 2 years ago, like I said, I wasn't really locked in with Kyle Fletcher. Now I think he's probably top 3 wrestlers in the world, like no doubt. And I think that's credit to AEW is they've taken us on a journey with these characters, and that's why they're firing on all cylinders. And 2026 is going to be the year of AEW.
I was just on the Carl Fletcher point. I was obviously been a fan of him. You know, him and Davies went from their tag team days. I used to see a lot of them in Progress and stuff, and Rev Pro. Obviously went to Japan and stuff. Came over to AEW, and obviously Davies went down injured. And quite possibly one of the best things of Fletcher's story is him having to start alone in Ring of Honor and almost building himself up from the ground as a single star. And he never really had the coattails to ride off, if I'm correct, if I got my timelines right. It wasn't like Ospreay was there already in AEW or anything like that. Like, I think, yeah, he basically came in from the ground up as a single star the minute Davies went down, and he's taken the opportunity. And like you said, he's one to mention. Kevin Knight's one to mention as well. Big up Multi-Class Geek here with a super chat. He says, normalize shorter title reigns. Much easier to have a busy main event scene that way, which is a good point. He said, also shout out Eve and Wrestle Queendom. Yeah, fantastic show that was on last night in the O2. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the women's division a bit, because we've all kind of recognized how great Tekla is right now as a champion. I think maybe eventually they give the Sisters of Sins the tag belts and, you know, let them kind of all run together with the belts and stuff. I'm saying that straight from an aesthetics point of view. I'm not saying they're deserving right now because they haven't really fought for it recently. I'm just talking aesthetics. But I think we realize that Tekla is the strongest part of that faction, right? But just to add, she's done this in what you can basically call record timing, because she hasn't even been in the company for a year yet. And I think, you know, someone that it's good in the sense of we can recognize if someone's just great, give them the belt. Like, you know, like we don't let them pay their dues and all of this kind of stuff. If you're good enough, give them the opportunity. And I think that's what we're seeing here. As for the rest of the division, we've got a tag team title now in the women's division. The tag team champion is also holding the TBS title. And then, yeah, we've got a story between Marina Shafir, Toni Storm as like another kind of top-ish story. Sat, what's your views on the women's division now? And is there anything better we can do with that to kind of elevate it, how we're talking so well of the men's division right now?
So let's start off with Tekla. So if Tekla was in WWE and the wave that she's been getting, they would have stupidly waited to 2027 for a shitty Money in the Bank that she probably wouldn't even win. It would be someone else. And then you would have squandered that goodwill, that high. Because they always say when it was at the peak or waves, wherever, you know, whoever does surfing, man, when you're at the peak, you ride that wave. Don't do it when it's flat down. So that's why, like, when me and Tempest were talking about Statlander's reign, it was so awkward because we're all trying to manifest a better title reign. Because it doesn't have to be how it ends. It can start with you can lock into. That's when it completely changes it to the point where you forget how it started in the first place. But with Statlander's title reign, it got to a point where Tempest was saying, like, it's been a few months since, you know, all out. She's had those 2 big wins. She's still in a holding pattern, but the time on, this is probably the reign we're going to get. And Tekla is, you know, because it's weirdly enough, a lot of people want Tekla to be TBS champion, but it's like Tekla is an anomaly in terms of how she presents herself. She's not someone that follows. She's someone that comes from like a punk aesthetic, punk background, and that's why when she's she does a promo, it's so authentic because she's not trying to be anyone else. She's not trying to be like, as much as we compare to Luna Vachon, she'd be like, yeah, cool, she looks good, but I don't know who this woman is. She's being authentically herself. So that for me has helped to propel the women's division, because Statlander, she got butchered. Her character got butchered because before she won the title, she's doing a whole feud with, you know, with the Death Riders, or will she, won't she join the Death Riders, having a crisis of confidence because she turned heel on Willow. Then she lost Stokely. No one really talked about why her and Stokely broke up. All of a sudden, that identity she had as a heel went. Then she became this like lost person, friends with Harley Cameron. trying to get back with Willow, doesn't know who she is, and then bam, all out. She knows who she is. She's a cosmic killer. As much as I'm happy she's an alien again, because that's how she started off. She had a clear character in the beginning. A lot of people thought it was too kooky. It was a bit too PG WWE for certain people. So they had to, someone said it, fine-tune the character. Tempest hated the boop on the nose. Fine-tune the character. find the sci-fi horror element of it. Find the aspect of the sci-fi character and then hit it. It's the fact that she did it on the night she won the title. So it felt kind of cheated. It's kind of like, well, you had a crisis of confidence, and all of a sudden you found yourself, you're champion. So it's quite weird to get used to that version of the character because that wasn't the build-up. And they still feel like they were still trying to figure out what her character was. Each week, she'll add different layers of clothing. She'll dress up like she's a Dune character. They gave her that entrance where she came up with a spaceship and stuff like that. They were trying, but it still wasn't going all the way there. They weren't giving her promos in the ring because I feel like Stat is hit or miss when it comes to promos because she's quite quirky, how she is. Real life Stat is a quirky nerd, and sometimes people don't resonate with that kind of quirkiness. So it's quite hard to figure out if you're going to be a serious champion, how are you going to present yourself as a world beater? I think that's what it was as well. It was like the identity crisis didn't help. And then when she did that podcast admitting, like, they didn't really know how to push her, and she felt it as well. She felt the connection with the crowd slipping. People like Tekla's now lapped her in terms of, because Tekla is a fully formed character. So when you see her, you don't even have to break it down that, oh, what is she? She's a toxic spider. She's basically a punk kind of person. And then you've got bloody Sisters of Sin, the people that she has to carry in this group. Because no offense, man, like, send these ladies to RAH, because I love Julia Hart. She was the standout in the House of Black. But weirdly enough, right, Julia had a reputation of each group that Julia was in, she was the star. You put it in with bloody Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison, wherever they were, the varsity squad, wherever they were.
Varsity Blondes.
She was the star.
Varsity Blondes.
That's it, Varsity Blondes. the varsity Blands. She was the star of that. And you put House of Black, she became the star of that. But in this group, Tekla is like kryptonite. She's like, hold your monotone, flipping, shining promo, shove it up your ass. To the point where they had to stop doing that. It was ass. Her and bloody Sky Blue doing that. Tomorrow, Sunday, Collision. Ooh, spooky dookie bookie. I was like, shut the fuck up. I don't hear that shit. And the Sky Blue, if you can't do your finisher, just don't do your finisher. All right? How many times you flipping flop that move? Just get. And I've never been into Sky Blue being a spooky person. I didn't really care when Sky Blue was wearing that kind of stuff. You need to workshop her character better. Like, yeah, she got blood on her face during that, blood and guts match. But I still feel like she needs to work on. She's not at the level as people try to gaslight me into telling me she's a good wrestler. And I remember when she used to wrestle every week. Oh, Sky Blue. I was like, all right. Okay, guys, wherever you say, I never really saw it. I've never really seen what people are telling me. In Blood and Guts, she got blood. All right, guys. I'm in bleed all the time. Like, whoop-de-doo. Yeah? But Julia Hart, when she was TBS champion, I felt like she was going somewhere. Post-injury, I know she's lost something, and I'm hoping that in due time she can get back to where she used to be. Maybe it's a crisis of confidence coming up post-injury. I don't know what's going on, but I was much higher on Julia than I've ever been on Sky Blue. Sorry. Sky Blue, their tag team is actually... dragged her down. I'm just being honest, but good luck to them wherever they are. But in terms of the women's tag teams that you're talking about, Brawling Birds, I'm excited about that group because it's the first time that Jamie Hayter has been given a direction. When she came back, my goodness, me and Tempest talk about it all the time. I can't get over it. The story was there. Toni Storm, the woman that injured her, is champion. Toni Storm is like 50 starlet. And all of a sudden, Jamie Hayter's coming back like she's from the 70s. I'm like, there's synergy there. They're both from different time periods. When they fight each other, it's going to be on. No, they didn't go there. Fair enough. I've gotten over it. I'm still trying. I may need to go therapy because it should have been Jamie. I still feel like to this day. And then Alex Windsor is someone you can tell that they're very high on, and they know that not a lot of people know what she's done in the UK, because for a lot of people, they were like, oh, trivia, she's, someone's missus or wherever it is, but she's a world-renowned wrestler, and they were smart to put over like Toni Storm for a bit, so you get a bit of a personality. She teamed out with Rio but I feel like this tag team with Jamie Hayter, The chemistry's there. Two British birds. They are like, you know, like brawling brutes. They are a bit like the Bar. They are like the just two. They would fit in EastEnders. They look like a couple of girls from EastEnders come to America, and I'm loving it. And it's obvious that Wembley's gonna be their moment. If Ospreay is gonna be back in time and he's gonna be in the main event for the title, you think they're gonna resist that picture moment of Alex Windsor has got the tag title and Ospreay with the title on his shoulder taking a picture together? I mean, it's there. But in terms of the tag division, it's still early stages. They're suffering how WWE suffered. It's like, yeah, you got the titles on Babes of Wrath. I was rooting for Babes of Wrath because I didn't know Willow was going to get the TBS title. So for me, I was like, okay, this is the ceiling for Willow for a bit. Let's go with it. But it's honestly a vehicle for Harley Cameron, because Harley Cameron had a great, 2025 in terms of a breakout year. So this was like their way of saying, congratulations for being a better wrestler than bloody Anna Jay and Sky Blue. So there's your title. But now that Willow's TBS champion, they don't need a title. Please put anyone but them, because it's diluting what Willow can actually do. No offense, Harley, you can tick off the box in your resume, tag title, tag team champion, cool. But let's break up the team. Let's go do something different. And I want to wrap up because I've been talking for too long. Tony Storm put it back in the main event. Orange Cassidy is cold right now. He's cold. Anyone that's near him, they're not gonna be doing well. I'm tired of this union. The only guy I ever want around Tony is her husband. I feel like that dynamic will be hilarious. Orange Cassidy's like laid back, but he's dragging down Tony's shine because Tony's chaotic. The guy comes across boring next to Tony. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
I'm just chucking it to you guys.
I definitely do think that they've overdone it. They had a nice little moment, Tony Storm and Orange Cassidy, on, I can't remember the pay-per-view, where they done the dance thing for the first time and knocked people out with the dance moves. And then from then it's just become too much. There should have been a one and done, in my opinion. Big up Ronnie Norford in the chat. He says, I feel like AEW fans want Sky Blue to be their Liv Morgan of AEW, which is it's an opinion.
She ain't gonna get there. She's never getting there.
I mean, Liv
Watch
took her time to get to
Watch
where
me
she is now, sort of thing. But
but it's been 10 years of grind for Liv. That's the problem. It's just like with Sky Blue, is where it's become such a stop-start story that they're telling. Is I think the ship sailed with her. I think her ceiling is TBS. I think her ceiling is tag team champion. If that, I don't think she's going to be women's world champion anytime soon in AEW, if ever. Sorry.
Tempest, what do you think they can do to kind of tell more women's stories away from the championships? Because they still got a lot of talents there that aren't kind of getting enough time. There's the likes of Athena that I know we've probably all spoken about 1,000-something days as champion, and probably quite meaningless at this point. She should be on AEW main. What can they do to kind of keep these other talents busy?
It's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because I went through a real period of time at the end of last year of I came out with a Tony Storm video essay I was very proud of. So I watched a lot of Tony Storm content for a period of time and really got invested in just that whole arc of the timeless character and everything like that. And it just so happened that like right when I was about to release that video, they took the belt off of her. And I'm not saying that she needed to hold the belt for ever and ever, amen. But for the character that she had built and how important the AEW World Championship had been to her and to the character and the arc of the timeless persona, like literally being born out of having lost the title and everything that she had done up to the point where she lost the belt, for the last time as of this statement, everything was about the belt. And I really thought, okay, if you want to take the belt off her at this given moment, you can do a lot to tell the story of what is Timeless Tony Storm without the title. Like look introspectively at this character. Like I was one who was, kind of banging the drum for her and Mina to be the first tag team champions and, start the tag team division off with a bang, put the titles on your most popular star, your most over star, and have them go on a run, hold the belts for 3-4 months, lose them to whoever is going to be, Megan Bain and Penelope Ford or Marina Shafir or whoever, and have the arc of it be Toni Storm coming to grips with the fact that as much as she loves Mina, it's not the same. That she doesn't care about these tag titles as much as that world title. And that could be, you know, the catalyst for a heel turn because maybe that breaks Mina's heart or whatever, right? The point I'm trying to get at is we haven't gotten any of that. And what we have gotten from Toni since she kind of lost the title, lost her rematch, has been a deviation from what I had been led to believe was important to her character. We've just kind of had her been doing some fucking side quests, you know, for the last few months, right? Like,
Yeah.
That to me is the egregious part of it. Because, okay, you don't want to put the tag titles on her, fine. You want to go in a different direction, do what you got to do. As long as the alternative is then just as satisfying for people who are fans of Toni Storm. I'm a massive fan of Toni Storm and the Timeless character and everything, and I've had nothing to go off of for months. And it does just feel like, you know, there have been bits of the women's division that have done well. I think Tekla, as we've said, has been a massive highlight. But it feels like so much of the AEW women's division has taken a bit of a step backwards because you had this 10 out of 10 over popular star that they've just put on the back burner for a while. And I still haven't really seen the justification for it, you know? So I think they could do a lot with the characters that they have developed over years and years to tell stories with them where they don't have to be the focal point of the entire division, but still just make whatever is happening with them be consistent with those characters so that when they do rejoin the title picture or whatever their big story of the year is going to end up being, that it still makes sense and it doesn't feel like we've just kind of been treading water while we wait for that to happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I feel like you're right. They kind of misled us. They kind of misled us in terms of making us think that that Toni Storm was going to go on to do this, and the story they've kind of laid out for Toni Storm. They kind of misled us in that sense. I 100% agree. Big up SP3 in the chat, and he says, I agree. Timeless Love Bombs had the story to win the tag titles, but they went with the new team that got over the tournament to tell the story of Willow and Stat reunited. Yeah.
Did they though? Did they?
Yeah,
did they tell that story though? That's the thing.
No.
This has been the fucking. We've talked about this on the Wrestle Purist reviews of AEW Dynamite. That's fine. I would love for them to tell me the story of Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale. But they haven't done that.
They gave us
at
a
any
moment
point.
Story.
It drives me nuts because genuinely, I would have booked Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale for the women's title at Wembley Stadium. That should be your big match. But at no point since their big, street fight match in Chicago at All Out, at no point since then have they told a congruent story that makes me believe that AEW thinks that's a big match and story to go back to. So I feel like it's just this thing that the fans have all kind of like, we all love both of these women. We want to see Willow succeed and win the title in the most satisfying way possible, probably wrestling the person she has most, history with. But that history is history. We've not seen real new chapters of that story be told to us. They're just kind of back together. And for as much as a problem that Willow had with Chris Statlander for so long, wouldn't accept her apology, now they're just happy-go-lucky friend time again. And I don't think that was earned. So, I love you, SP3. I'm sorry to rebut your points. But
it's true. They gave us a moment.
Can I also say something as well?
Go for it.
I do want to say quickly that Britt Baker not being around also led to like Stat not having someone that she's had history with. Because I think part of the issue Stat had was she won the title, but she had no one that she had that long history with. Like Jade Cargill's not there, like the person she beat for the TBS title. Britt Baker's another one that she had history with. I felt like that also kind of hurt her because the only person that she had immediate history with was Willow. And then everyone else is like, yeah, Marina, you're part of the Death Riders. You're connected to Willa Utah, but what is it? What's that about? Mercedes, I guess Mercedes and I guess Willow and Mercedes were the only two because Mercedes beat her initially and then they had a good match and everybody said, oh, as soon as it's for the world title, it's going to be epic. Obviously, they had the rematch. It wasn't as good as the initial match. Again, Stats title.
Yes, sir.
Lost him.
Yes, sir. Oh, I could carry on a bit of his points if he doesn't kick back in, because this is all the sort of thing that we have touched on our shows. He started moving again to carry on your point slightly there.
Yeah,
Sad.
thank you. Tag team.
When we discussed the entirety of the AEW women's division a few months ago, it's not something I say to try and defend AEW's booking of their women's division. But you look at where so much of the time that they had spent in previous years went to build up stars and everything. And it's your people like your Britt Bakers and your Jade Cargills who just are not there anymore to be an asset to put other people over and tell other stories. So they've had to start at square one with like getting over new characters and stars more times than most places have done. Like Mariah May is another one. Like Mariah May could be a former AEW Women's World Champion wrestling in the mix, with the rest of the stars of the women's division. And she's not there. They did great business with it, and ultimately, Toni Storm came out that much bigger of a star because of that business. But in terms of the amount of people that you can just slot into a pay-per-view match with a new champion to like give them more big wins over former champions, there's only so many of them that have been like stuck around. And that's, I suppose, partially AEW's fault, but also partially just kind of the nature of the business. So it's left some of the title reigns like Statlanders being like, oh, you really got to throw everything at it that you do have. You got to throw your Mercedes match at it and your Tony match, your one-on-one match, to try and give it, because the people that they have history built up with, Chris Statlander had a lot of history with Jade Cargill as well. Not there to follow up and do the next chapter of that with both people kind of reaching new levels of their career. So it's just tough when the puzzle pieces that could make for a better picture have been taken out of the box.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think they've been very unfortunate in that sense when you put it like that. I still think for Stat particularly, there has to be, which seemingly is happening, there has to be some like looking within herself, and she has to make that connection with the crowd, and then a lot of things will just catch fire from there. But yeah,
she was heel. To make it heel again, I think that's the biggest issue as well. I think we rinsed out her as a babyface, which we didn't know at the time. Even though that the weird story with Stoke, we never knew where it was going. She teamed up with Willow. Stoke is notoriously known for being a heel, and he was managing them. So we're like, where's this going? At one point, is Willow turning? Like, we don't know what's going on. Someone's turning, wherever. And then when Stat did it, you're like, oh my gosh, because Stat was like the girl next door type of personality, and all of a sudden you're turning what is ultimately probably like the super baby face, like that she can be your top female star of the company. You're turning her heel, and that was like a risk they took. But I was liking it because it was something different. You had Stoke as a mouthpiece, whatever perceived weakness with her promo ability, Stoke is there to cover it. And then they broke that team up, and then she became face again because Mercedes needed someone to beat, and then it became convoluted. And I think as fans, we can tell that wasn't her story. This is a pivot, but it's a bad pivot, and that bad pivot ended up with her becoming world champion and still trying to figure out who she is a year later. We're now in 2026. We're still suffering from the sins of the quick turn. Because now she's wearing glasses. Now she's looking moody. It screams like we're chucking everything at the wall, and we don't like that, because usually when that happens, that's like panic. That's like we don't know what to do with her. If this flops, then we may have to either again turn her heel or say bye to her. But obviously she's got fan investment. I likened her to like AEW's Rhea Ripley, as in I feel like they tick the same box of being this statuesque Amazons that fans gravitate towards to. And look where Rhea was, because she's not is at the moment. They're not booking her like the top star that she is. But Stat could be on that level. They need to figure out like she's a nerd. Connect more with the nerds. Like hone in on that. Like with Rhea, she's a goth bird. They're kind of like, all right, we're honing on the goth part, and she's muscle goth girl. Stat is this muscular alien. Honing on her being an alien.
Bro, the alien stuff has to die there.
Mekz, I don't think I've ever met someone who hates that gimmick more than Mekz.
You ice now. You talk about ice.
Alien thing.
Now,
yeah.
She's a cosmic killer, bro. You don't watch Dune? You don't watch Dragon Ball Z?
She's booping people's noses. She's
not doing it in years.
Yeah,
she's
but
recovered.
Then she obviously on Wednesday when she came out with Thunder Rosa, she turned to some Terminator type character. Like,
yes,
we need to figure this out because she's a very good talent. I think she's for that division. She is top 5. She's a very, very good talent, but we need to figure this out because otherwise
they're getting it so right with the men's though, aren't they? Like it's the exact thing that we're getting from the men's that they're failing to deliver in the women's division. So it's like we're saying earlier about Kevin Knight and having these moments where you don't need to win the title, but it tells a story and adds to his character, to his gimmick, to the story they're trying to tell long term. And that's something in which the women's division continues to suffer with in AEW. It's like they're almost there and someone gets injured or, they pivot like you guys have just said. And it's just like, if you don't commit to your long-term storytelling for the women's division, fans will just get tired. You have seen it in other companies. You've seen it in AEW itself. It's like you guys said, they've had to build that women's division up. And it kind of seems like now they're counteracting all of the hard work they've done with people like Stat. And I'll be honest, I'm with Mekz on this one. I hate her gimmick. I can't buy into it. I cannot buy into it. And I think I look at
Why is it? Why is the disconnect? Because I need to know. That one's it paints a better picture of where the disconnect is coming. It's true. You can't say I hate it, but I need to understand why you hate it. So
I can't get outside of it because it's not like
alien. That's wrong with it.
Here's what it is for me is I look at someone like a Timeless Toni Storm is she tells such a good story with her character, whereas if you were to take Chris Statlander's gimmick away, it wouldn't neither add or remove anything from the character which she's playing. And I think that's the thing for me is it's like if you put her in a situation where her gimmick is allowing her to tell a story the way in which Timeless Toni Storm does, that allows for her character to develop. And I think that's where they've missed the gun with Chris, is that they're not allowing her to tell a story as a champion and as a character. And when you continue to do this with these female wrestlers, people just get bored and fail. Like I always say, strike while the iron's hot. WWE fail to do it all the time. They've done it countless times over the past few years. And I think that's the problem here. It's just like they're striking while the iron's hot, but it's just like once they've struck, it's like, damn, what do we do now? And I think that's where the problem is. And I think it showed time and time again. But the biggest evidence of it is Chris, because I think she's so talented. She's someone who, if you were to look and to build a women's wrestler, she's someone who looks like she would be a great women's wrestler, and she is. But it comes down to the character, and that's why I can't buy into the boop in the nose. The
boop in ears.
I don't care. One boop too many.
You know what? Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the gimmick for a second, right? You're right. It's not even a gimmick. It's an aesthetic. All she did added an aesthetic and a crap song. All she did is wore wrist. All she did, she Darren Young'd Cosmic Killer, so she doesn't forget what's her gimmick this week. All it is, she added aesthetic because it's not a gimmick. She doesn't go, I'm from the planet, blah, 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 blah. She's from Long Island. They say she's from Long Island. All it is, they added a presentation to her. For a lot of people, probably shoehorned in. It's like, we're going to make a world champion. You need a look. But what my issue has been, the presentation hasn't matched what she wants to be. If they give her like a tunnel entry, the Cody Vator, and she comes with smoke, and she looks stern, I think that's what it is as well. It's like, is she quirky alien? Or she's stern, stone cold killer. And I think if she goes with that, that's what she's trying to be right now. And if they commit to it, because I think it's been too many gimmick changes, that's what it feels a bit like. It's a bit hokey. Because like, you don't even know who you are anymore. It's like, how can I root for you when you don't even know who you are? And I think that's harmed her. I think, when they say Cosmic Killer, all it is a name.
I completely agree. I'll hot tag right there again. It to me, honestly, it's got me thinking that this point that's just been made. I completely agree. It is an aesthetic rather than a gimmick. Like, you liken it to somebody else on the AEW roster, it's like Megan Bayne being a goddess, right? Like, it's not a fucking character. She doesn't have like character motivation that is informed by or manipulated because she is a Pegasus, Greek goddess, anything like that. And it's the same with Chris. Like, she's just got a space aesthetic put on her character. Like, she does not have a real character of her own that is easily identifiable, that we can immediately latch onto, like Tony had. Like, Tony could be the same thing. Tony Storm and the Timeless thing could be, the aesthetic is just she's a 50 starlet, but she has been able to tell a story with that character that is, again, specific to that character over a long period of time, that it goes together, that the character and the wrestler, they elevate each other into a greater overall package. And you just don't see that with enough other women on the roster. I don't think that's entirely their fault. I think a lot of that goes into just there not being enough time given to that. Because you mentioned it, that you look at what's going on in the AEW like world title scene, and that's what we were missing from the women's title scene. And you're 100% right. But where you really start to see that succeed with the men's division is just being able to have AEW Dynamite be like half comprised of world title contenders. You'll have like 3 matches on the show or 2 matches in a segment, and they'll all be involving guys that are in the chase for the world title. It might be Andrade has a match here. It might be Hangman has a match here. Swerve is doing this. Swerve has done his turn. Kenny was just involved. Kenny does this. Kevin Knight is trying to get involved here or there. You'll have a fucking vignette of Ospreay to remind you that, hey, he's involved in this. MJF's the champion. He'll be involved. Brody King, Bandito. All of these names will be involved on the show, and they'll all be interweaved within the overall story of going after the world title. But you look at the women's division, and you'll get maybe a backstage segment and a match, and you just don't have as much time dedicated to involving as many people in the world title picture. So you get left with just kind of whatever the pay-per-view feud is for that cycle. And then when that's over, you have to start fresh all over again for the next pay-per-view cycle. And it doesn't feel like there are as many characters weaving in and out and interacting with one another and building a greater overall, like, broader focus to a division that sorely needs it.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I think that's just where we are now with Stat, with the division. I think one more.
It's a shame.
It is.
It's a shame.
It is. But I think from where we once upon a time were with the women's division in AEW, it's come on leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
So I think, we've got to take the rough with the smooth, and hopefully things definitely get better. One more thing I'll kind of throw into this hat before we kind of change course when it comes to the women's division is Mercedes. I think Mercedes needs to return, and Mercedes finally needs to be the star that is almost, her debut said that she was going to be. She needs to be there on TV. I don't care whether she's good at it or not. She needs to be cutting promos in the middle of that ring, and she just needs to be more intertwined with the happenings of AEW programming and not feel like someone that's just being brought out, open challenger, TBS title match. Like, we just need her more in the weeds of it all when it comes to that women's division. And I think that will definitely help the likes of a Tony Storm, who we could arguably say has carried this division for the best part of like the last 3 years. So yeah, I think I would like to see that happen as well. We're going to jump into predictions now. Obviously, like we said, we've got AEW Revolution this weekend. Before we do, of course, guys, if you're watching live, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and like I said, down below in the description, you have all the panels, different channels and Instagram platforms and stuff to make sure you're following along as well. Now, this match, I believe, has been announced for the pre-show or 0 hour, whatever they call it. Is basically Ricochet versus the world. Ricochet is having a 21-man blackjack battle royale. The national championship, which is with Ricochet right now, is going to be on the line. Does anyone want to be a brave man and make a prediction as to is Ricochet dropping this title? What's going to happen here?
Dave Finlay's winning the title.
You think David Finlay?
I think I think they put, because it kind of just seems like they're trying to tell a story with him aligning with Gabe Kidd and calling them the dogs. I think there's a trio there. I think it then starts a story with Ricochet and his crew, and then I feel like there's going to be enough characters in a 21-man battle royale that they can set a few weeks or months of stories up ahead of this. I think that is, rather than it being just about Ricochet's story, I think it's going to be about the other individuals that are in this match. That is what I think it's going to be about. I think they start to tell more stories. I think there's going to be a surprise return in there. I'm not sure who, because sometimes you just need to get the entire roster list of who's actually signed under AEW's banner, because I sometimes even forget the amount of wrestlers. It's a struggle enough to keep up with the titles, let alone the entire roster list. You know what I mean? So
don't mention belts. Tempest will go off. Don't mention belts. 5, 10 mid-card titles they have. Oh, listen, Mekz, we haven't even covered that part. What mid-card title matters what? Do you want Okada's one? Do you want Ricochet's one? Do you want Moxley's one? Do you want Fletcher's one? Do you want Nick Wayne's one for 6 months in ROH that he hasn't defended?
He's defended it.
Throw Bandito in there. The ROH titles of mid-card belt and AEW 2.
It's true.
I think this is the problem, though. That's the problem, is that there's 21 people, and I think the one person is the story's not going to be about. Is going to be the person who's champion, and it's sad because I think Ricochet was starting to do some really great work, especially toward that at the beginning of the stuff with Lashley. I was like, this really ain't going well. And then towards the end of that feud, that's when I really started to get on side. And I think they're going to take the title with Ricochet. And I think it goes to, I would love for it to be Gabe Kidd, to be honest with you. I'll say it straight out. I would love for it to be Gabe Kidd. But I don't know if AEW are ready to pull the trigger on someone like a Gabe Kidd rather than a Finlay.
All right, let's keep it rolling. Tempest, what's your thoughts on this 21-man battle royal? Who's going to come out as champ?
Well, I've always thought, the lay of the land, the rule that I go by, the rule of thumb in these kind of matches is the more people you add to a championship match, the more likely it is that the champion's going to retain. It's just like you could pick the field, or you could pick the champion to retain. You got AJ Lee at WrestleMania 30 against the entire women's roster. Like, yeah, she's retaining that belt, right? I think if I'm predicting what's going to happen in this battle royal, I reckon that Ricochet will retain the belt, just because I don't know who else is in it. So if it's not going to be Ricochet, the only guy that's been directly associated with him in this belt has been Jack Perry. And given that feud is not wrapped up, as much as I think it probably could have been with the match that they had, a good match, but a conclusive one, I think Jack probably is the next national champion if there is going to be a title change at this show. But I'm probably putting my money on Ricochet retaining.
Cool. Sat?
Jungle Jack. If it's not Jungle Jack, like Tempest said, Ricochet retains, because it's either like Dark Horse Finlay, like Del said, that's a good shout. But Jungle Jack, man, I feel like you have to pay off the return. I think it's like they probably would have won the tag titles. Who knows when Cope and Christian are holding the tag titles hostage? They've never been champions, but
even on this
show, FTR Tower and Independent.
Hold that thought. I've got words on this. For when we get into that.
Love it.
Yeah.
Jack Jungle Jack probably, because you want that pop, that babyface moment. But like Del said, the delusion, the international title coming back is like international Spider-Man meme. That's how I could say. But yeah, Jungle Jack, because I was thinking if you want something different, go with him, because you invested in him. You invested in him doing that bloody upside down suplex they've been trying to do for weeks, that Germany's been trying to perfect. That's how much time we spent with the guy having matches with Ricochet. They just go all the way with it.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely hearing what you guys are saying. If I'm going to throw one more name into the hat, maybe a returning Bobby Lashley, if he's fit to return. He's been in and around with Ricochet and stuff as well. But would they want to do that on the 0 hour with Bobby Lashley? I don't know. But yeah, I think those are really who it could span to. Let's go on to, I guess, the main card. We got Tony Storm versus Marina Shafir. Start with you, Sat. Play by numbers.
Marina.
You win. Marina?
Marina. Marina wins. You know why? It's like shit or get off the pot. Shit with Marina. It's like they invested time in her. Yeah, she's still clunky. It's like she's better than what she was on Dark, right? But she's got a personality. I feel like her charisma, her presentation is further ahead in her ring skills, which is a miracle because her charisma was -1 once upon a time. They had Vicky Guerrero. You used to forget she had Vicky Guerrero as a manager. She was Nyla Rose. We've come a long way with Marina Shafir. That's what I mean. Like her charisma and her personality, it's further along than what we expected. She had a wallpaper had more personality than she had at one point. But now, like hanging around with Mox, she's able to, holding that tough girl persona. She says minimal things. And sometimes in life, that's what I hear about wrestling fans. We do not need soliloquy. Rock kind of ruined it. Rock created that rock brain in people's brain. You need to be witty. You need to be, Vince did it. Suffering succotash. No. You could just say 5 pointed words. I'm going to kill you. That's better than I am going to dive off the world. And I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to pull out your tongue and wipe at your ass. That is all you need to say. And that's what she needs to do. So what I'm trying to say is they're investing in her and you need a killer. You need a boogie woman in the women's division. And Marina can be it. Yeah, her ring skills is not there. You couldn't hide that. But I feel like you have to invest in her. And Tony works best when she is fighting from below as an underdog, because Tony is a scrappy person. You get a lot of great promo content from her. So I feel like Tony has earned enough cachet, long title reign, established main eventer. Marina needs it. If she loses this, then Marina's going back to holding belts for Mox, which is what she's currently doing. But you need to evolve the character from where she was 2 years ago. So shit will get off the pot.
Tony Storm versus Marina Shafir. Tempest, what are you thinking?
It's weird. I look at this match and under different circumstances, I might look at it as like kind of an unofficial number one contenders match, because like I don't know where the next contender is necessarily coming from after Chris Statlander, for Tekla anyway. I don't think Tekla and Tony Storm is the direction though. Like, I don't know, that being a match for Dynasty or whatever, like you could do it. Like, I see no real reason to do it, but I don't think I think when Tony challenges for the title next, she should win it back. Ultimately, I don't know if that means she's got to win the Owen Hart Cup and you delay that for Wembley Stadium or what have you, right? So I guess that to me would mean that you can delay her return to the top of the mountain a little bit and have Marina win this match. But I also don't really think Marina and Tekla works as like a real match. And maybe I'm just putting too much thought into it that this doesn't actually involve the title ultimately, like really at all. But to bring it back to what Sat said, I do think that Marina losing this match does more damage for Marina than Tony losing this match. I think Tony has enough equity built into her, and you can heat up Tony Storm. Hopefully, you never know. But like, I'd like to think that you could heat up Tony Storm for a big women's title match again, either at Wembley Stadium or at a big show a little bit later down the line, easier than you would Marina if Marina loses this match. So I'm going to go with Marina to win this one as well. Might not be the likely option, but it would make me happy.
I'm going for the hat trick.
Yeah,
I agree. I think Mekz, I think me and you spoke about it after the Blood and Guts match with the progression that Marina Shafir has had in terms of, like, you used to say it like babies doo-doo. Like, it's something like with some certain people's presentation, she was one of them people where it's just like, it's hard to even emotionally invest in someone. There's not really much there. It just kind of felt flat. And this is not for like a month. We're not talking months. We're talking years. So I think for her to be in the position she's in now, get that climb up the ranks. Why give her an L now? I think giving her an L now just sends her straight back. It's just like, if you're the Death Riders, are you going to really sit there and like, she's one of the people that was like, we need to sort our stuff out. It's just like, well, you can't even get your job done. Why are you telling us how to do anything? Just go back to, like you said, holding Moxie's belt. So I think there's a long-term story to tell, but I only think that story is there if Marina wins.
Yeah, okay. You guys have said something to me today, boy. I thought Tony Storm all the way, but you all presented very strong points as to why no, it actually has to be Marino at this point. So I'm with it. We'll fly through this one because I think it's fairly straightforward, although there's an entity in this one which I just didn't see coming. We got the Don Callis family, Okada, Fletcher, Mark Davies, obviously they're the new trios champs. They're taking on Jet Speed, Mike Bailey, and Kevin Knight, and Mystico for the trios titles. Yeah, I'll start with you, Stat. Thoughts? Who's going to win this match? Just
Protocadavis. They're winning this, yeah. Protocadavis have got this.
All right, Tempest.
Archie Open are winning. Archie Open.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. Protocadavis. Not having this. Yeah, the Don Callis family is going to win this one. I'm so happy for Mark Davis. Just getting a nice little reward for a very strong 3, 4, 5 week run that he had after Jake Doyle's injury. Love what he's got going on right now. I think this should be a very underrated but excellent match for the show if all goes well.
Yeah, Davies has been very unlucky in terms of just partners being injured or him being injured and stuff like that. So yeah, it was nice to see him get that title last week, to be fair. Del?
I can't look past the Don Callis family. But I really think this weekend is where we really start to get, because I think they're going to start to set for Kyle to turn on Davis. That's how I think you get Kyle back to that level. And so I think they win this week, but I feel like we're starting to see the seams break up with him being part of the Don Callis family. I think he's the next person to get the boot.
Okay.
Interesting.
Let's talk about the tag team match. For the umpteenth time, we've got FTR versus the Young Bucks, AEW World Tag Team Championship on the line. And Del has a theory. So Del, go for it.
My theory is they retain. They are beating the absolute daylights out of the Young Bucks. I'm talking pulling pins out of railings. Like, I think they need to go proper crazy with this.
Post-match, you mean?
Yeah, post-match. I mean, they are lit. Like, they're pulling up. Do you remember when they used to pull up the floor in WWE and they start power driving people's heads onto concrete? That's the kind of stuff that I want to see this weekend. That's why I don't want to see no PG nonsense. You give me PG, I'm turning my TV off. Yeah, that's how it's going to go this weekend. And then I think the music hits. And I think we get Edge and Christian returning this weekend, which then sets up the match in Canada. And I believe it's April the 5th, which is where we finally get Edge and Christian winning the world titles in Canada, bare confetti. And then I think they're going to lose it 2 months down the line. But that's not like part of my prediction. But my prediction is they retain. They beat the hell out of the Young Bucks. Young Bucks are written off TV. Edge and Christian return, take that spot in the tag title scene, win the tag titles, and we finally stop getting Young Bucks versus FTR because damn, I am bored of that match.
Cool. So that's a prediction and some. Tempest, what's your thoughts?
Honestly, I think it's all a pretty good shout. I'm not quite as down on the match at this point as I was, or as other people are. You know, Sat and I were saying this week that it blows me away how much I've enjoyed the TV that FTR and the Young Bucks have done. Like, it's been very simple stuff, but they have gone in a direction with it that feels so much more real and realized than it was like the last time we just had a straight singles match with them. Like when it was the first Wembley show and they were trying to do these sit down backstage deals. And it's just, it never felt like it clicked. They had anti-chemistry with one another, but now they just haven't had that same problem. And I do still think they're capable of having good matches, but the matches that they have had haven't lived up to the hype that was bestowed upon them like 10 years ago, you know? So I think ultimately all of that has just kind of led to people being very down on this match. And if all goes well, I'd love for this to just completely erase any of that feeling. So the next time we start maybe looking like we're going to get an FTR Young Bucks match, everyone's like, oh, yay, that's a big match and something to look forward to. like they have been trying to make it, but without the results to back that up. I do think FTR hold on to the tag titles here. I don't see them losing it until they have a match with Cope and Cage, a match that I personally am very much invested in and everything. My number one wrestler is Edge. He's my favorite wrestler, and Christian's not too far behind. So I'm a very special case with this, as much as I've seen other people very down on the idea of doing that program for the tag titles. I enjoyed their match at All Out. I'd love to see it again because I felt that was a bit more of like the appetizer of there's still more to come. They're going to do a bigger, much more, all out match than the match they did at All Out. So I expect a very good one, but I'm expecting FTR to retain.
Cool. Makes sense. Sat, what about you?
FTR, but the issue I have with FTR and Bucks is it's so obvious that the stench of desperation in a match permeates each time they wrestle. They overthink things too much, overcomplicate spot, 10,000 kickouts. You're not rocking Austin, bruv. No kickouts, finisher 1, 2, 3. That'll be a shock. That'll be my assignment. Do one finisher 1, 2, 3. Can you do that? No, they can't. 10,000 finisher. The issue is the best part to cut off a match would be like 12 minutes before they actually do it. They'd be like, that would have been a great time to end the match. Then they drag to 30, 45 minutes. And I'm like, the Triple H special, the stinker, then 1, 2, 3. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. But yeah, FTR.
Yeah, FTR. Cheers,
Sat. I think Sat hates Triple H more than me. So that's saying something, bro. I'm renowned on wrestling for being the biggest Triple H.
I like when he crotch chops, but yeah, 20-minute promo.
Are you ready? Absolutely not.
No, we're not ready. We got a roast of Triple H cooking on the WrestlePurist channel. So Sat and I, we're teasing it. We're doing the long build up to our
if you need any
evisceration
input,
of
guys,
Triple
shout
H.
me. I've got hours of video and input that I can give you. I'm the biggest Triple H hater.
Back
to AEW Mekz.
Let's quick fire this one. We got Tekla, women's champion, going up against Chris Statlander in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Anyone seeing Statlander winning? That might be easier. No.
This is part of a storyline. I think
this is gonna be real good though. This is one of my more anticipated matches. I think this will tear the house down.
I think the way to tell the story is Willow and Harley come out to help her in some type of way, and she was almost pushing them away to say, like, I need to do this on my own, and she has that adversity. That's how you build her character back up. Almost like we've said how Carl Fletcher had to build himself back from the bottom. I think that is how you pick up Chris, is don't just insert her straight back into the world title scene again, is build her character back up, make her gimmick mean something, not just aesthetic like we were saying. And I think that's the way to do it. Have her lose in a bad way, write her off TV. She comes back in a few months, repackaged in some type of way with some actual substance, and then we move forward from there.
Cool. Okay. I think these next few are quite interesting. Andrade versus Bandido in just a singles match. Sat, what's your thoughts?
Andrade, man. Come on, how you know? It's Andrade. That's what I'm saying. Bandido, the weird thing was that if Andrade was still in Porcatraz in WWE, then Bandido's got smooth sailing to be the first Mexican world champion. But Andrade's coming with that heat, that kind of like Hector Garza-esque lover boy gimmick. I've been loving it, and he's got the heat, he's got the sauce. He's wrestling like the rent due, because this is last. Rob, you're going to Mexico. That is all you're doing. You're Alberto starting your own promotion with your big ass seat. No one's watching your show. This is his last chance, and he knows it. So he's wrestling like his life depends on it, and he's finally been the Andrade we wanted him to be for NXT. As in, like, this is a guy from NXT going to be a superstar. Forget like the next Eddie Guerrero. Forget the next Rey Mysterio. The first Andrade El Idolo is finally being like the legacy is being created right now. So I'm excited.
Yeah, Tempest.
I echo everything this man just said. I mean, I look at this as being another one of those more balanced matches on the show. I think it could go either way if you wanted to, put over Bandito in a big match, because let's not forget his match with MJF, left the door open for him to re-enter the world title scene down the line. It'll be really interesting. I think this and another match we're going to get to kind of have like similar parts to play, in ultimately how to predict these ones. But with Bandito still holding the ROH title, I think it leaves him a little bit more of a timeline to deal with that situation, drop the belt somewhere else, and then possibly then free himself up a bit more to enter the world title program. But I don't know, man. I could very easily see a world title match at Dynasty being something like MJF versus Brody versus Bandito in a three-way if both of those guys win their matches. I don't know if that's likely, but if you're trying to make more of these matches really feel like the wins and losses do matter for the sake of the world title implications, I think that could be a way of doing it. So I'm going to go with Andrade. I think it's his time right now a little bit more than Bandito's, but I think this one, it's like 60-40. It could go either way.
I agree. And Del, what's your thoughts on it?
I think they've got to give it to Andrade, but I think he's going to do it in such a heelish manner to add to his heat that he's already got. And I think because people are really starting to invest now with Andrade, I feel like with him coming back in the way he did, it was either going to go one of two ways. Because he was either going to fall flat on his face and it was going to be like, we shouldn't have even really brought this guy back, or it's going to be WWE realize what they're missing and AEW realize that letting him go to even begin with was a mistake. And I feel like this match is the way to kickstart that. I think give him the W, have him absolutely beat down on Bandito afterwards. And then that sets up them for a future match with higher implications, like we're saying. These results need to mean something, but they don't just need to mean something now. What they're going to mean down the line is if Andrade beats him now, he could eventually end up winning the ROH title. No one can say that can't happen. So I think there's a lot more of a story to tell with Andrade, and I believe that this weekend is going to be the start of it.
Yeah, I think Andrade's on a tear right now. Like Sat mentioned as well, love his gimmick. I think there's new life in him. Like I feel like he said again, like Sat said, it's last chance saloon. He's got to make it happen at this point at a big promotion. Otherwise, God knows where he'll be. If
rent's due, like you said.
Mexico.
Sat said it. Rent's due, bro. Rent is due. Bills
Rent's due, motherfucker.
And like Tempest said earlier, this is almost like another one of these kind of quote unquote unofficial number one contenders match, with the other one being Brody King versus Swerve Strickland. So I'll start with you, Tempest. That I feel like this is a difficult-ish match to call. What's your thoughts on it?
This one's tough, bro. This one's real tough. Like, you've just had Swerve do his big turn. He's beaten down on Kenny Omega. He's done everything. He's firing on all cylinders right now. Like, Swerve's looking real good. This is the most invested I've been in Swerve in a long time. And I've never not invested in Swerve, but he's really at a level right now. So that plus having just turned would probably lead one to believe like he should probably win his next pay-per-view match, but at the same time, like Brody is having a hell of a 2026 as well. So it's not quite just as simple as having, like, obviously just put Swerve in a pay-per-view match where he can win. So like I said, if you want to do a three-way at Dynasty that MJF can still maybe win, I think you could do Brodito and MJF in a three-way. If that means beating Swerve, I don't know how well that works storyline-wise unless you can really justify it. I know there's been a lot of talk of like, well, Kenny's not going to be like, he's not going to wrestle on the pay-per-view because he's got his commitments. But every report I have seen of this is like, it's left the door open for him to appear if he can like fly in late in the day, and maybe Swerve and Brody goes on like second to last or third last on the show, and you could have Kenny cost Swerve this match. I think you could still get away with some of that, set up a Kenny and Swerve match for down the line. Whether that has world title implications or not, we'll see how it all goes. But this one is the hardest one for me to predict on the whole show. And I love that. I love that so much, because I was going to say a little bit earlier when we were talking just generally about the world title program and mentioning little bits about the other place. It's so wild to me how the WWE main event scene is completely unpredictable and volatile for all the wrong reasons right now, because the people in the back have no fucking clue what they're doing. Meanwhile, the AEW world title program is so unpredictable and volatile for all of the right reasons. It feels inevitable yet surprising. Like whatever the main event of Wembley is for the world title, it's going to probably feel like the right choice, and it could be like 12 different things. That to me is super exciting, and where it is most exciting is probably this pay-per-view, because right now it could go in any different direction, but we don't know what any of that's going to be yet. So all of these matches could go either way. I'm going to go with Swerve just because he's the top guy, and I think they'd maybe be more inclined to do that after the heel turn, but I could just as easily say this be Brody.
Yeah, it is that kind of match. Del, what's your thoughts on this one?
It's annoying because I don't want either of them to lose. Like, this literally is his peak, because I've spoken highly about Swerve is that guy for me. Post WWE, I feel like he's gone on from strength to strength. But Brody King, I was worried about him a year ago. Boy, I was very worried about that man. I ain't worried about him now. Definitely worried about him now after that the MJF stuff. So it's a bit of a difficult ask, but I think because of how important that turn was for Swerve, I feel like they have to give it to Swerve. And honestly, it could go either way, but just because of that turn, I think they have to give it to Swerve.
Yeah. So, anything else to add there?
So me and Tempest talked about it last week. The only guy to turn heel and still lose in his match was Eddie Guerrero against Rey Mysterio. Not a lot of people have done that, where you've newly turned heel, brain busted someone on the steel steps, debuted a new theme, stopped riding your lowrider, and you still lost. Would it do that to Swerve? I don't know, because I feel like I'm gonna use a North American lingo. Brody King has the MJF stimulus of like beating him in a few seconds. It has made him a contender. But you have to ask yourself the question: who realistically could be world champion tomorrow without having to do that much work? And that is Swerve. With Brody, he still have to pick up victories. Yeah, he beat MJF in seconds. That is just one notch on his belt. Kevin Knight's got more notches on his belt. He's beaten Okada. He's beaten other, big names already. Brody King needs to become undeniable before he can be champion. Even though he's a big guy, I'm talking about like he's 5'8", but he's went from being a trios guy, a tag guy. He went from a guy that's been miscast and misused for years that they finally got on board. Because for me, it's like he could be a killer heel, but whatever. But as a beloved babyface using his real life personality, sure, go with it. But I think Swerve is going to win. I do want to say that the anti-two-man power trip with him and Hangman did a lot of damage to both guys. It was stupid. The man burned your house down not even that long ago, and you're teaming up with him like a dickhead, like your best friends and stuff like that. Did a lot of damage to both guys. The most dangerous man in AEW, the most gullible man. You're teaming the guy that burned your house down. Did he even pay for your house? If you pay for his house, sure, team up with him. You pay for your house. You bought your new house with a bow tie and everything on the gates and stuff like that. But he burned
it's the
your
way
house,
when he said he
you team up
deserved
with him.
it. When he said,
Exactly.
I understand. And this is like,
you're a dangerous man. That ain't a dangerous man. What? Having a crisis of confidence? Nah, that's why I like him as a heel. That babyface run did a lot of damage. Everything they're saying right now, I'm like, you're going against what you said a few months ago, Mr. Captain All Elite. I am AEW, bro. Stone Cold never once said I am WWF. Son of a bitch. Never did that shit. That's a paycheck company. That's why I said. That's why Tempest have issues with him being the most dangerous guy. Ken Shamrock was called the world's most dangerous man. Ken Shamrock never went on the promo. I'm the world's most dangerous man. No, JR shouting that for him. He's got a cheerleader. He's got fucking Nana there. Nana can call him the most dangerous man in AEW. Don't call yourself that, because you're not. Because that's what Triple H used to try to do. I love Swerve, but sometimes he goes a bit Triple H-ish. It's kind of like, I am a bad man. It's like, just show you're a bad man. Don't tell me you're a bad man. Show, don't tell. Show, don't tell. Swerve for the victory, though.
Yeah, I think we're unanimous in Swerve there. Let's talk about the AEW Continental Championship match. So Moxley's going in as champ. He's going up against Konosuke Takeshita. He's been eyeing that title for quite a while now, since the Continental Classic where he beat Moxley. This time round, because I believe the last bout they had, they ran out of time. Obviously, you got a 20-minute time limit for this title. Now this match is going to have no time limit. Del, I'll come to you first. Moxley or Takeshita? Who's leaving as champ?
Get the belts off Moxley, man. Like, Moxley needs to have a real horrible time for a year. And that's not me saying it because I hate Moxley. It's like he loses the world title and then he picks up another one. Like, come on, man. Like, you're meant to be this guy and he's meant to be the leader of the Death Rider. You're going for a mid-card title after you've just lost the world one. It all just seems weird for me. So I think take that title off of Moxley. Have him have... If anyone needs to have a crisis, it's Moxley, because that man has had an awful year with some of the losses he's taken. Like, me and Mekz have spoken about it time and time again. Like, he has lost in some of the biggest matches this year. And it's like he comes out at the end with a mid-card title. That don't make sense to me. Have him lose, have him go on a horrible another losing run, have him completely disalign himself with any faction and to come back as the original solo guy that is Jon Moxley, the psychopath. And I think that's how you save Jon Moxley, because he don't need this title, but I think giving it to Takeshita, I think it opens up avenues for more matches, whereas I think there's not really many matches with Moxley that excites me with to even face him for that title anymore. And I think that's the problem here. Is it's like, yeah, he's a great title holder, but is he going to be able to tell a story with these young guys? Because I'm looking at that AEW roster and there's so many young guys that could be vying for that title. Jon Moxley doesn't need to be in that title picture.
Yeah, he had a horrible second half of 2025.
Those last 6 months were horrible, Mekz.
Losses.
The Derbyverse.
We were all kind of waiting for them to kind of tell the story of, the Death Riders kind of turning against him and being a bit unsure about our leader sort of thing. And they never told the story. And then he goes and picks up the Continental Classic from, a point of kind of not even qualifying out of his group. It was all very weird. I'm
Derbyverse, bruv.
Yeah. Sat, talk on it. What do you think, Takeshita or Mox?
The Derbyverse is allergic to the world title scene, bruv. How are you not in the world title scene, Derby? You beat all these guys. Anyway, go full of glass. There's two scenarios, right? Moxley retains the title, then a returning Kyle O'Reilly, because we've forgotten about him, comes out and challenges him for the title. Boom. Moxley retains and the returning bruv. Because I feel like Death Riders can't fully turn face into the Ospreay feud, because it'd be awkward for Ospreay to come back. And the Death Riders, we're now back Blackpool Combat Club again, because we're feuding with Don Callis family, because they are. It's like they got an identity crisis themselves, that group. But I feel like Moxley can't fully turn face until he answers for the sins of injuring the bruv. And then there's the Takeshita aspect of it. If Takeshita loses, you have no belt, Proto Cardavis forever, right? And if Takeshita wins, I got a title too, bitch. What are you gonna say now? And also, there's better matches. No offense, I love Moxley, but there's a better variety of matches we're gonna have with Takeshita as champion. And Takeshita being a weekly, addition to Dynamite with his title defense against anyone, sign me up. But I brought up these scenarios because that's what could potentially happen on both sides. It's about which is more attractive. Mox being champion is like we feel like we've seen it done to death. For me, my personal preference is Takeshita, but I don't know how Tony's thinking, because Mox is the ace at the end of the day. It's kind of like he has to take off Mox. If he's not world champion, give something substantial. But I feel like you squeezed enough juice out of that title reign. So it's either Kyle O'Reilly, which will make it kind of like, all right, fine, give Kyle the shot, because Kyle did, tap him out. But for Kyle to lose, then I'll be angry, because I feel like give Kyle the title, because Kyle O'Reilly, international, continental champion reign will excite me. Heck, Ospreay's continental, and then you have Ospreay with the continental title versus Kenny's world title unification, where else you can get rid of that belt, which will never happen. But
one less belt is not a problem.
Yeah.
I tell you, half the fucking ideas we come up with are how do we get rid of at least one belt at all times. We're just trying to
trip over myself all the time.
Get rid of the mid-card belts. Oh my god.
And it's the way they change names as well. Like, I've tried to get on board with having so many mid-card titles, man, but
too much.
Like it hurts your mid card to the point where they'll struggle to get into the main event scene because the mid card basically doesn't mean anything at that point, right? It's just like, well, I've lost this mid card title. Let me go for that other one that's available on another show because I'll be good there. It's just like it don't really make much sense to me at all.
Yeah, they need to cycle through them before they reach the main event status. Tempest, what's your
But
thoughts
yeah,
on?
but Takeshita's my op because I talked a lot, but Takeshita's my pick. Just to
Okay, cool.
clarify.
I'm going to echo that as well because when Moxley won the Continental Championship, I went, fuck, it's genius. It's genius. The guy that had a year-long run of not being able to do anything without his goons wins the belt that built into the belt is no outside interference. And if you wanted to tell the story of like Mox kind of like finding himself a little bit, like, oh, maybe I actually don't need this crew of you know, cretins to come in and ruin every match, my house of torture over here. If you are trying to tell that story, I think that is a brilliant story to tell. They haven't told that story, though. That's not been a plot point of all this. He's just got a mid-card belt. So if you're not going to tell the story, I'm fine for him to lose the belt. I don't know when I would book this potential match that I'm about to say, but if you put this belt on Takeshita, I think that you can culminate a substantial chapter of this Don Callis fucking story by doing Fletcher's TNT title, Okada's international title, and Takeshita's Continental Championship, winner take all, and just create the AEW Triple Crown Championship. And I don't know if you would have that be the Wembley match. I don't, because that's still like 6 months from now, you know, but do it then, do it at Double or Nothing, something like that. Again, I'm trying to consolidate some belts, right? That I see more as like a potential direction if Takeshita wins than if Moxley retains. Like Moxley could win it and just move on to whoever's next and just evacuate the Don Callis feud. And that's fine. Again, if Kyle shows up, it's cool with me. I don't really want to see Will with the Continental belt personally. Like when Will comes back, I want him to go, okay, I'm winning the world title this year. No ifs, ands, or buts. I've kicked the can around for a couple years, injury, had my adversity. I'm going to be the world champion of AEW. It's his time. Crown him at Wembley, whatever you want to do. I think you get the belt off Moxley. Do whatever you got to do with him next without a title. Have Takeshita at least have something going on and not just be the sad puppy of the Don Callis family that his boyfriend has moved on to a new man. And let's all just progress some of these stories that just kind of feel it's a lot of stories from 2025 that haven't progressed and are still just knocking about. And I'm ready for something to happen to move those forward. And I would like to think in this instance, Takeshita winning is going to be the thing that gives it the nudge that it needs.
Yeah, like exactly like you're saying, these stories need to culminate now. We need to reach this point and need to start building towards the big show this year, sort of thing. Yeah, I think you guys are right in Takeshita taking the belt. I was disappointed with his IWGP Championship win and the subsequent run. I know the Japanese faithful in New Japan didn't really take to him as, you know, seeing him as a bit of an outsider. But I still think, at least on AEW TV, that should have maybe played out a bit better under their control. But yeah, get the belt on Takeshita, man. He's brilliant. And then that leaves us with the world title match. It is the last chance Texas death match between MJF, Hangman Adam Page. If Adam Page loses this match, he will never be able to challenge for the AEW World Championship ever again. Having said that, Tempest, who's walking out as champion?
I think MJF's retaining this title. I think MJF's reign so far has been very good. And I just, like, I could be totally wrong. I think Hangman could win this match because this, to me, again, speaks to what has been so good about this main event scene. You look at the Wembley show 5-6 months down the line, and you try and predict what the main event, the world title match of that is going to be. Either MJF or Hangman or neither of them could be in that match right now. And they could be facing anybody. I think you could do Hangman and Swerve main event that show. I think you could do Hangman, Swerve, and Ospreay as a three-way, which I was predicting was going to be the Wembley match, like when All In Texas was happening last year. You know, like there's so many possibilities that I think this could go either way. I think it's too early to end MJF's run, personally. And I do think, as much as I saw people complain that, like, oh, they haven't learned their lesson from the Cody thing, it's like, no. The lesson of Cody's stip is not that this stip is bad. It's that you have to follow up on the stip and tell the story that then comes along with it of you can go back on this stip if the guy fucking turns heel.
Yes.
But Cody refused to turn heel, so you were just left with him being barred from ever being world champion, and it cut the legs out from under his babyface run. You won't have that problem again. Hangman can turn heel and go back on his word, and people can point to it and be like, you're not a man of your word. That is a negative trait that you have shown. All of that works. That's good storytelling, as long as you do that second half of it. So I think the stips that they put on this have made this match considerably more interesting. Like, I was on board with it anyway, because I think MJF and Hangman as a pairing do great business together. Love them as two characters interacting. But everything they've layered on top of this has made me that much more excited for it. I see MJF retaining. I'd like to think that Will Ospreay then comes out at the end of that to set up what they're going to do, hopefully at Wembley. But Wembley tickets are going on sale like immediately after this pay-per-view. I don't think that's a coincidence. It might be, but that's me putting 2 and 2 together and hoping to get 4. I think MJF wins this, and I think it's going to be another phenomenal match.
I agree. Sat, what's your thoughts on this one?
MJF wins, man. Like, for many reasons. Hangman's allergic to title reigns, because his first one wasn't bad. It was so awkward that CM Punk was around, and it was telegraphed so hard. Soon as CM Punk came, yeah, bruv, you're like yesterday's news. So there was like a time on his title reign, but he had a good title reign. I think people underrate that. His second one, I was disappointed because we wanted so much more, and because I'm so disappointed, I was like, don't put a title on him, Tony, until you can write a coherent arc with him being champion. So until then, let him cry into his beer that he can't challenge for a title for for how many years, and then either the Bucks, Kenny, someone beg you for him, please challenge one more time to lift this ban. That's the only way I can see him doing it as a babyface. Like, someone rallies Christopher Daniels or someone, like, what are you doing? Just challenge one more time, or challenge to to lift the ban or turn heel. Those are the two options. But MJF's gonna win because I feel like they established what his arc's gonna be in terms of who he's going to face. If Hangman win it, for some weird reason Tony does this, man, I can't find anyone to feud with him right now. What am I gonna do? I can't even defend the title weekly. Do you know what I'm saying? So MJF gotta keep the title. So I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Dale, what's your thoughts?
I think if they even think about taking this title off MJF, then I think it downgrades this great start to 2026 for one, and I think it completely derails all of the hard work of 2025. I think that's how bad of a decision it would be to have MJF lose this match. That guy is red hot, and it's not because of, like, he's one of these people where he can redefine himself in a hill in multiple different ways simply by cutting a promo on someone's personal life. Like, it's crazy. Like, he will pull strings out from your personal life in the middle of the ring, and you have to stand there and go promo to promo with this guy. That, for me, is what a champion is about. Whether you're in the ring, whether you're on the mic, you are the best. I look at someone like a Roman Reigns. Why Roman Reigns is so good is, like, when he stood in the ring with CM Punk, he told him, I'm picking you because I'm going to F you up. That's what I want to see. I want to see none of this. Oh, Hangman, it's going to be your last time. It's just like, all right, let it be your last time. Go have a cry for 6 months. Have that adversity and come back, because I don't think if they put this title on him, again, it will be like, who does he face? That's going to be super exciting, because I'd be more excited for the matches that MJF's going to have than if Hangman was going to have them, because I think Hangman is slowly starting to grind on me just a little bit. I'm going to admit it. I'm starting to get bored of Hangman.
Do you want the mustache again? Do you want the mustache in the theme song again?
No, look.
I want him. I can't lie. I want that guy.
That was the best period. He should have been heel champion.
You know what's so?
He should have been heel champion.
You know what we even forget?
Like,
we forget how many gimmick changes he's been like, or tweaks he's been through in AEW. Like, he was part of the Dark Order at one point, coming out, and then you had the Elite coming out in Looney Tunes Toon Squad outfits. Like, there was such a weird time in AEW regarding promotional like partnerships that they had. Like, why were they coming out in Space Jam uniforms? So again, back on track, but yeah, to remember that Hangman has had some bad times with the world title. So keep that thing far away from him until that said, give him something to get his teeth into with the title. It's like, there's no point booking until the title win. What happens for the following 2, 3, 4 months? I think that's where the problem always lies with AEW is it's always about the journey rather than the destination. And once they get to Z destination, it all goes tits up, basically.
The general consensus from people I've spoken to is that they are okay with Hangman not challenging for the world title again. And if he does and wins it, he should be a heel. So I think, that's pretty much like what we're saying. Like, it should be MJF. That means the stipulation comes through. Fair enough. But then if Hangman wants to go back on his word as a heel, then that also makes sense, sort of thing. So I think we have a really good show to look forward to this weekend. And like I said, it will be almost like the pace setter for the rest of the year. We've got Kenny Omega that's not even on the show because obviously he's got some other opportunities. I believe he's in Japan, so he'll probably be back in April, which will be amazing because he's got to come back for Swerve surely. And then we've got the potential of the Copan Christian showing up again and stuff like that. Some amazing singles matches on this card. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of good energy coming out of this show from AEW. So looking forward to it. But I have definitely kept you guys longer than intended. So I appreciate everyone that's watching live or on the panel for sticking around and stuff. Sat and Tempest, please tell the people when you are on at Wrestle Purists doing your thing this week.
Gang. I mean, you can find us.
I'll let Tempest do it.
Thank you very much, my friend. Every week we do our AEW Dynamite review podcast on Thursdays at 8 p.m. UK time. That is for members only, so you got to sign up for that one. But we do a semi-regular show on weekends called Ruthless Discussion, where we go in depth in a variety of different topics. The next one probably will be an in-depth look at Triple H as wrestler, as a booker. It'll be a roast. We're not fans, so we're gonna give him a 1-2 punch of the two of us. So make sure that you're checking out Wrestle Purists here on YouTube. Subscribe and like it, and you will see where the two of us go live once again.
We appreciate you guys joining us today, and Del, appreciate you joining as well. Like I said earlier, everyone's channels, Instagrams, whatever, is all in the description. So definitely check out these guys. This week on WRESTHINGS, we've got a couple podcasts out already. We had a podcast with Graps on Film that is, getting some of the best footage from around the world, not even just the UK indie, the world. So, check out our podcast with him as well as our discussion on Elimination Chamber from last week. There's also some interviews on the channel. The Mandem went up to Sheffield. They spoke to Will Cruz recently. I think that one's on the channel as well. So you can see what Will Cruz has been up to as well. And of course, all the 2K content we've been doing, that's I think it's linked to either WRESTHINGS page or the WRESTHINGS gaming page if you're interested in everything 2K26. We're doing a lot of stuff around that. We're working with the guys at 2K, so I appreciate the guys at 2K for that as well. Guys, thank you for tuning in to Monday Night Live. We will be back next Monday as well, probably talking all things Fallout from AEW Revolution. And hope you come and join us. But as for now, that's everything. Take care. Good night.